It's a curious bit of kit that could easily be confused with some sort of odd-looking weapon, or a handy tool for keeping the peace, or for settling those disagreements. All jokes aside though, the Power Club is a great training tool that definitely warrants some attention. Sharing its roots back to ancient Egypt, the idea of club training, or training with a heavy stick with a thick end, as per the Oxford Dictionary definition, could arguably date back to the dawn of time. Fast forward to now, and not much has really changed, only now we have the science to back up why this kind of training is so effective. Essentially, power clubs will develop shoulder strength, endurance and flexibility through extreme ranges of motion, vastly improve your grip and wrist strength, train dynamic shoulder flexibility and stability, improve timing and coordination, and develop tremendous rotator cuff strength as well. This of course will have tremendous transfer to a whole bunch of sporting applications, none more prevalent than the fighting arts because of the shoulder strength, mobility and stability that it brings. So a couple of the Power Club moves we're going to have a look at are the swipe, the low wood chop and the mill. The swipe works your posterior chain, hip drive and shoulder strength, mobility and flexibility, as well as that grip endurance too. So the swipe goes like this. I grab my club, I initiate the swing, driving through the hip, and then I roll through with the shoulder. Now this can be done with one club or it can be done with two. And essentially, this can be broken down into two parts. Now the first part is just learning to swing the club. So it's very much a hip dominant movement. So what we want to be able to do is bend and extend through the hip to swing the club whilst maintaining a nice strong neutral spine. So we don't want any kind of bending, we don't want to see this and we don't want to see this. So bending and extending through the hip to swing the club. Now the next part is we want to be able to get into this position, which is our end position, with a nice strong neutral spine as well. What we don't want is any kind of hyperextension here. So nice strong spine with glutes locked out at the top will help you maintain that strong stable position. So then all I do is I get my swing going once again, driving through the hip. And then what I do is I roll my shoulder through and bring my elbow up. Just like so. Once again, making sure that I'm not borrowing from my lower back here. I'm driving through the hip and then letting it roll through, just like so. Now, of course, this can be done with two clubs, just like this. But you want to make sure that you can work with that one before you get to working with two. The low wood chop is a great coordination exercise that tests balance, dynamic core stability, as well as shoulder strength and rotational power. The low wood chop's a fairly straightforward exercise, but it does require that you can move from stance to stance and shift your weight without losing balance. So there's a lot of balance involved here. Now the low wood chop is a two-handed single club exercise and it does look like this. So I set myself up holding the club down and then I sweep over in a nice wide arc with straight arms. So the main thing you want to focus on this is making sure that your midsection is nice and tight and I'm rotating around a central axis. So there's no lateral flexion going on. The harder you can hold your midsection, the better the activation and the smoother the movement will be. Now, of course, locking the arms, and our setup goes like this. Our hands are in an overhand grip and our thumbs are facing each other. So then when I grab the club, I grab it downwards and then I set up with it on the outside of the knee. From there, I sweep over the top and I finish with the club on the outside of the knee. So if you just see it the other way around, it sweeps over and this is my finish position. Nice and tall, strong, and very tight through the midsection. So once again, from the side, as you can see, sweeping over in a nice large arc, arms are straight, and shifting that balance from stance to stance. Just remember, make sure that the club doesn't touch the body whatsoever. That way you'll end up with the best activation through the core. Lastly is the mill. This exercise is perfect for hitting the shoulder from every angle, challenging dynamic range whilst balancing strength between the anterior and posterior aspects of the body and developing rotational dynamic stability. The mill can be a bit of a tricky exercise and it goes like this. I grab the club in one hand, I swing it across the body From there, I roll it behind and then I throw it through. Behind and throw. Behind and throw. Now, the best way, even though this does look pretty complicated, the best way to learn this is to break it down into parts. Now, the first thing you want to be able to do is swing the club nice and freely across the body. To do that, what we do is we set ourselves up, probably our stance a bit wider than shoulder width, and then from there, I gently rock the club backwards and forwards, using my body weight to generate momentum. You'll notice that I'm shifting from side to side as I do this. What I don't want to do is just rely upon the shoulder to swing the club. What I want to do is generate momentum here. Once I'm comfortable with the swing, I've got to get used to how to catch or how to bring this club up into that top position. Now, it's very reminiscent to the swipe that we learnt just before, where we bring it through. It's this end position that we want to be able to get to without overextending or resting the club on the body. So as long as we're comfortable with getting into this position, then all we do is we throw it out, let it swing, and bring it back to that end position. Nice and simple. Throw it out, back to that end position. Once I'm comfortable with that, then what I do is from that end position, from that top position, I turn my hips, and I throw it across, and then back again. Turn, throw, and catch again. From there, you can continue the momentum through. Continue the rhythm. Remember, at any stage when you sort of start to get a bit confused, just go back, feel the second progression out, and then bring it all the way through again. Don't be afraid to regress just to get the rhythm and the timing right. Remember, what you do on one side, always repeat and do on the other side as well. With tremendous training application, the power clubs will challenge multiple strength and conditioning components whilst mobilising joints, strengthening the core and working on that grip. Jump over to ironedge.com.au if you're after any further information.